point, a lot of people are wondering if this is just a prelude to what you have just described with a heavier show of force by police.
I think you're looking at two things: how Coutts ended the blockade in Coutts, and how the Windsor Ambassador Bridge ended. And it ended with a long, what Kevin Vickers, the former RCMP officer and Sergeant at Arms, likes to call the Canadian way. You take down the temperature slowly. It doesn't look great, but it dissipates without a confrontation, without someone getting hurt. Now, some Canadians might be frustrated. Where are the arrests? If I was parking here, I'd get a ticket. These people are allowed to just drive away with no consequence. Well, look, that is going to be an issue in terms of faith in law enforcement. As you see, there's kids. Those pictures of kids that you're seeing on the screen now, that is not breaking the law to bring the kids. According to the Gazetted means the details are now out as to what the Emergencies Act. So the person who brought that child up there now is, and what you're seeing there with that sort of Connect 4 device and the toys, that's no longer legal. They are subject to fines for doing that. And now enforcing that is an ugly picture, because what are you going to do? Pick up a kid, take them into child services? That can get very dramatic. So there's a slow de-escalation. You're not wrong to suggest that hard power is amassing. The RCMP, the OPP, and the OPS are amassing. I know they're getting an enormous amount, and I can tell you on background, highly trained security specialists, some of them former members of Canada's Special Forces, JTF, have been on the ground to help assess. I can tell you that from senior sources and from my own sources. So they are doing the highest level planning now as to how to act. But let me just go back to the soft power. At the same time, the soft power is the crushing of the money, and that's where Chrystia Freeland came in, and it's very controversial. They are giving financial institutions the right to freeze bank accounts without a court order if they so deem that the funds are used to help an illegal blockade. How do they determine that? What's the threshold? What's the transparency? Who gets, how the banks are doing it? How are they going after the crowdfunding sites like Give, Send, Go and GoFundMe? These are really important questions to be asked of the government. The government is taking and giving banks and financial institutions enormous leeway here, and citizens should be very closely monitoring this. Now, I know it's temporary, it's 30 days, they have to table legislation within the next 5 days, but the House isn't sitting next week, so there's some urgent questions on the use of hard power, which we're seeing maybe sort of the first phase of as they're finally ready to do something in the nation's capital. But the soft power, and you see if you follow the sites of the protest organizers, they talk an enormous amount about money. I watched a video last night of some of the site organizers. I think it was BJ Dichter and others, if I'm right. They were sitting at a table urging their supporters to, quote, pull all their money out of banks. Cash is king. That's literally what they're saying. Then the government can't control us, because they know once their finances are crushed, this is significant. How do they pay for the hotel rooms that they're staying at? It's a whole different ballgame, Marcia.
Evan, I do want to ask you, as we look to the bottom of the hour, we are expecting a news conference, an RCMP news conference regarding the situation in Emerson, and the expectation is there's going to be a resolution to that demonstration at the Emerson border crossing. What has made Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, Emerson, Coutts, different from what we have seen go on for 3 weeks in Ottawa? Why is the situation in the nation's capital different?
Well, you're talking about the mothership and the satellites. The mothership of all this is Ottawa. This is where it started. This is where the convoy began. This is where all the main organizers and their associates are located. They have by far the most trucks here. There's close to 400 now. They've had more. This is by far where the biggest protests have happened. This is by far where it's gone on the longest. And also it's symbolic. Look, we're seeing pictures here. I just want folks to realize these are trucks that are parked down the street there's Mackenzie Gray and our crew there. That's not Mac, but our crew is there. But you just point that camera another way and you'll see Parliament Hill. So the organizers have done something really interesting. They've
Can we
siege,
take any of this
as the
Nat
premier
sound?
calls it.
Hold on, Evan. Can
Yeah,
we
you
take
can
this
take that,
Nat
yeah,
sound
go
here?
What are you guys with?
Don't they have to go through a parliamentary process and skip that
They,
tape?
they can implement it, and I think they're going to put it in front of the House today. But the government has the power to just bring it in.
So can you tell me what the emergency is?
That's not for me to decide. That's what they. That's
I'm
what
trying
they
to
do.
figure it out. I just look like, you know,
We came back to see what the
you
emergency
see
is.
these planes
Yeah.
inside?
Where are you from?
Well, up near Peterborough. So they threatened me on Monday that they're going to freeze my bank accounts if I'm here.
Smoking weird.
So I'm coming back here. Don't threaten me that you're going to freeze my bank account. And I was told, Trudeau told me I can protest peacefully. I'm not in a truck, I'm protesting peacefully. I
He looks like a violent guy. He's a peaceful guy.
So, freeze my bank accounts. So, whatever.
Yeah, I can have my $1,000.
Yeah, I'm not. I just hope they don't steal my bail. I had to bring my own bail because I think my wife will just hang up. Won't post my bail.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for talking to us. I appreciate it.
Okay, Evan, so those guys from somewhere around Peterborough, they have returned.
Yeah.
What happens to them?
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
You see, you hear Mackenzie Gray, our own Mackenzie Gray, interviewing them, and there's the shot I'm telling you about. They're there symbolically because, and look at, you're seeing Parliament Hill. So they've got the symbol of democracy and then the economic issues. What's interesting about Mac interview there is the first thing they talked about is freezing their bank account. And now these folks, that did not worry them. Maybe that motivated them, and there is a concern. And there's kids again. Look at a police officer and kids. These are the scenes that we're going to start
now
seeing
there's-
now. They're reading. They're trying. It's starting to sink in. Are they going to stay, given what the enforcement potential could be if they actually enforce? But this is a bigger protest here, and in Emerson and in the Ambassador Bridge, these are economically
That's it,
extremely
everybody.
important, especially the
Got to
Ambassador
kick
Bridge.
Trudeau out.
But they didn't have the same level of support, organization, or leadership there. They were satellite camps. This is of a different magnitude. This is of a different. The roots are significantly deeper, and there's encampments throughout the capital region now. And
So now
as we
they're
watch,
saying if
I
you
was
have
out in the
brought
street
your kids
earlier,
down
and
there,
seeing what's happening
that,
is the enforcement officers always
that's
travel, see
breaking the law too.
they're
So
putting the pamphlets there, but they have protection from police if anything happens.
Yeah. Evan, thank you for all that. As we look to the bottom of the hour, 11:30 Eastern Time, we are going to be resetting here on CTV News Channel. We have been watching for almost the last 2 hours, Ottawa police issuing warnings to the protesters who are out on the streets. We have had a number of voices joining us for this coverage, as in the minds of many, hopefully this is the beginning of the end of the blockade in the nation's capital. So far, no tickets have been given out, just warnings. No one has been towed. We've seen one truck pull away, but there are still, another 359 of them there, and at least 150 people protesting, including families with children. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment with more, including the latest on Emerson, Manitoba. RCMP will be holding a media update. Another busy morning here on CTV News Channel. We'll be right back.
Do you suffer with pain in